Well, blessed Wednesday to you as we come to you with your daily encouragement. And we are at the final section here of the day alone in life together. And teacher Bonhoeffer writes, one who returns to the Christian family fellowship after fighting the battle of the day brings with him the blessing of his aloneness. But he himself receives anew the blessing of fellowship. Blessed is he who is alone in the strength of fellowship, and blessed is he who keeps the fellowship in the strength of aloneness. But the strength of aloneness and the strength of fellowship is solely the strength of the Word of God, which is addressed to the individual in fellowship. As we said, we have all these nice, beautiful contrasts, and they're not just simply English words just being flipped on their toe to just be fancy. What they are is to remind us that there is a season for aloneness and a season for fellowship. And it is sometimes in the same season that we have both. One of the things that has interestingly challenged me over the years was in our liturgy. This is not one of those times where we worry about dead air. There's times for speaking and there's times for silence. And I have a tendency to want to fill those silent moments with speaking. But I've learned how to pace myself over the years. Maybe some might say maybe a little bit more silence, not a lot of rushing. But it is important that we cultivate that silence as much as we cultivate words in our speaking. The same is true of our Christian walk. We can be overbearing to people if we spend all our time in their presence, and we can also be lacking people's presence by just cultivating aloneness. One of the tendencies of today, after our 3-year odyssey of pandemic that I think many of us are still getting out of, is how to return to life. How to return, and I don't want to overuse normal, but how to return to the way things were before. Maybe some of us will be changed permanently. And that's what usually happens when we've gone through some times of sickness and aloneness. I mentioned it earlier. It's almost like the puzzle piece that gets wet. It's supposed to fit in that place, but it doesn't have that same fitting anymore. And that's what some of us feel like when we've gone through a sickness, dryness, or some sort of challenge that God has placed in us. But God is building something even greater and bigger. And so it is important for Christian fellowship to be both alone and together and alone. These are not just flipping the English language. These are true states of being that God calls us no matter what. God bless you today. We trust that these continue words of encouragement. Tomorrow we're going to start the section. It's the last section of this book on ministry, and it is an important one. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.